I want to talk a little bit about a topic that is sort of just like never ending at the office. Ryan, you just reviewed Rainbow Six Siege.
Sure did.
I just reviewed Star Wars Battlefront.
You sure did.
Both of those games did not have campaigns.
Nope.
You wrote an editorial about how the single-player campaign in the shooter genre is sort of dying.
Quietly dying.
Yeah.
And it's not okay.
No, and it's sort of like we're starting to see it in, and not just our reviews across the industry. Everyone's talking about how like the absence of the campaign sort of makes shooters feel like they're not like hardcore enough.
Yeah.
Not deep enough. Like it's missing a core feature, because obviously it is. But I'm starting to wonder if, like, did designers need to make games for those people? Like, is there a place for a multiplayer-only shooter in a world where people are demanding, like, the hardcore player is not the person who's, like, super multiplayer competitive, it's the person who really cares about it.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to wonder, like, do we need to have a campaign?
Well, I think part of it, there's a couple things. One, I was talking to a very, I don't want to like,
no specifics.
I don't want to sound like a douche here, but I think it's going to come off that way anyway.
Whatever.
I was talking to a very, very prominent first-person game developer privately recently. I'm only not saying who it is because he didn't give me permission to say this, but we were talking about this exact topic.
Okay.
And he was saying that he thinks it's because he also loves single-player narrative-driven campaigns and shooters. He was saying that he thinks it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Fewer campaigns, like,
yeah.
Do you think that necessarily entails like less depth in a game? Like if you free up the resource, ideally, right? Like you free up the resources of a campaign, it gives them being a developer, like the opportunity to create something that is way, way, way deeper than a multiplayer game.
I think I think a big problem. I mean, it's very much partially a perception problem.
Sure.
But that's fueled by the fact that for however many years now in games, for full price, whether that's been $50 or over the last 8 years plus almost 10 years, 60 $, is that full price has always, you've expected a narrative-driven campaign of some substance and length and a fully featured multiplayer suite. And now it's, for the same money, the same full price, it's forget about the fully featured narrative single player part. We're just going to give you the multiplaer chunk.
And this is why, for like numerous reasons, I think Rainbow Six should have been free to play.
But that's my point, is that I think if Evolve had been $39.99 or $29.99, and the same thing with Rainbow and with even Battlefront. I mean, it's got the Star Wars name on it, so it can totally get away with. I mean, all these games can more or less get away with it. That's why they're doing it. But we'll see how long that lasts. I mean, we talked about on Unlocked this week that this is totally anecdotal and there's no hard data here, but the like weekly UK sales charts suggested that Rainbow Six Siege did not have a good debut week relative to expectations. Again, you can't. Yeah. Super giant hunk of salt.
It's like relying on MPD for like totally accurate.
Yeah, but I mean, you can look around at the buzz online too, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's a really fun game, but the kind of negative feelings towards the overall package kind of overwhelm what is a at its heart good game. So, publishers will only stop. They will only change their behavior when the sales dictate, when the numbers dictate that it's okay, that they need to do so. As long as people continue to buy $60 games that are, that have less content than you might want, they're going to keep doing it. So, wait for sales or don't buy them at all. I mean, I know vote with your wallet is like a super cliche thing to say, but it actually does work. I mean, look at the Xbox One, $4.99. It's a good console. It always was, even from day one. But for $4.99, and the PS4 was $3.99. Like, people voted with their wallets, and their first console that they bought this gen was in large numbers the PS4. Microsoft has had to respond by aggressively adjusting the price of the Xbox One.
Discounted again for a short period of time right now.
and guess what? It's working. Now they're like, it is totally goosed Xbox One sales, and now a great system is getting into more people's hands because the markets voted with their wallets and said, $4.99 for a thing with the Kinect in there? Nah.
Don't want it.
yeah, I'm going to get a PS4 instead for now, and it works.
Yep.
From a developer standpoint, it is kind of understandable why you wouldn't want to invest resources in a campaign when you can look at games that have long multiplayer legs, and it's because people spend like 5% of the time playing the campaign and
Right.
95% of the total time in the multiplayer. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to spend however many $1 million in months or possibly even years designing the campaign when someone will play it once and then never
Absolutely.
touch it again. I get that. But if I take a look at every shooter I've played, minus Counter-Strike, which has no story mode or campaign and has never,
How much did you pay for Counter-Strike, Sean?
$20. Different thing
Yeah.
for sure. But when I look at all the shooters that I've played in my life and love, all of them have a campaign, and it's been the campaign that initially drew me to it.
Yes.
Halo's a really good example. The best one, obviously, Half-Life. Like, that is a game made solely on the campaign, and there is no multiplayer for it, although Team
Yeah, there is.
Deathmatch and all that stuff.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
it
you're
shipped
talking about
slightly
the mods.
after the single-player game.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
then
not-
Half-Life Deathmatch, and then
Yep.
it spawned
Right.
other things like Team
Team
Fortress. and
Deathmatch and Team Fortress, and Counter-Strike obviously is the most
Yep.
popular mod.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing is like, as someone who is initially drawn to games via the story, it's disappointing when I didn't touch Battlefront because as much as I love Star Wars, that gameplay isn't on the same level as a Counter-Strike, and it doesn't have what I want most from a Star Wars game, which is the story and the environment of being in Star Wars.
And what annoys me is when the economics of the game dictate design choices. And by that I mean I look at a Rainbow Six and it's, well, okay, we have no proper narrative story campaign. Like, we have a multiplayer game here. So we're charging people $60. We've got these maps, we've got some modes, we've got terrorist hunt. So, okay, how do we give some semblance of progression? Well,
10,000 gates.
we're gonna lock everything, literally everything, and so it's a very arbitrary thing.
It's like actually disgusting.
Whereas, yeah, and it's a tough line to walk. Whereas, let's say, I mean, if I would be willing to bet that if Rainbow Six had a 5 to 6 hour narrative-driven quality single-player campaign, a lot of that multiplayer stuff would not have been locked away.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it wouldn't have needed to. They could have said, well, great, our players invested their time in campaign, so we're going to here, go have fun with multiplayer. We're not going to lock literally every character, every attachment, every weapon modification.
Sounds just so grueling.
So my question to you guys is, we pointed out, I mean, friend of podcast Unlocked, Peter Moore, said, and it's
Yes.
always stuck with me, that there are no bad games, just bad price points, which is a very, very smart thing. But what do you think prevents developers from making a game like Rainbow Six $20 or $30?
Publishers, yeah.
Publishers.
Yeah,
They-
the corporate
Publishers,
overlords.
They
Prevent
demand
it.
it to be $60.
So here's the thing. I think if you sell something like Rainbow Six Siege for $20 and it's got Rainbow Six on the name, people look at that and think it's going to be a third of the quality. People think it's not going to be good because it's a third of the price. People associate discounted games with inferior quality, and I think that
while I would maybe agree with you there, like, do you think that perception's changing? Like, look
No.
at the top games that are played now on Steam. Like, all of them are almost
free.
yeah.
League of Legends, Dota.
Counter-Strike.
And Counter-Strike, $20, yeah.
Counter-Strike.
And you sort of have to establish that, and I think that Valve has done it. I just don't think that EA and Ubisoft have. And I think
Well,
that's
they're-
where the problem comes in, is that people associate, like Blake Jorgensen from EA, the CFO, said for the hardcore, it may not have had the depth they wanted in the game, speaking about Battlefront.
Yeah.
He's, like, basically what he's saying is that the hardcore equate depth and quality. Those are the same thing. It needs to be deep to be good. And I don't agree with that. I think that the hardcore, if that's the case, don't necessarily, they're not the only people that matter. There's more to this than the hardcores want. And for me, somebody who wanted just a fun, casual Star Wars multiplayer shooter like Battlefront was what I wanted. And obviously, it's missing certain pieces that I may have enjoyed, but it doesn't mean it's an inferior quality game.
Not at all. But you want your money's worth.
Yes.
And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about this. Publishers are giant, battleship-sized entities, and it takes a long time to turn those kinds of ships.
Right.
Whereas the indie space, it's like the League of Legends crew, Riot, can just be like, okay, we got this cool new thing, and yeah, it's free.
Yeah,
no problem.
And that's the thing. It's like
whereas that Activision and EA and Microsoft and Sony, it's gonna take them a long time to get to that place.
And I think that's almost the biggest problem is if you look at this in terms of like hardcore versus casual and which player base matters most. You look at a lot of publishers who want to charge $60 for a game, giving the hardcore player the most value. What that means is you're sort of ignoring this casual base that, and like those terms are like real loosely defined right now as casual and hardcore, but the casual player is not a mobile bejeweled Candy Crush player. It's a League of Legends player. It's the 40 million people that play that game every month because yes, they might understand like hardcore systems, but they don't play it like a hardcore player plays Call of Duty. They play it kind of casually.
Right.
And I think that in terms of like hardcore versus casual, who matters more, if you look at that from the publisher perspective, you're always going to lean toward the hardcore because the risk of not getting the casual audience is so huge and it would destroy your game. And you've seen it with stuff like anybody who's making a MOBA on PC right now, whether you're EA doing Dawngate and canceling it, or Turbine canceling the DC game, or Motiga laying off a bunch of employees this week.
Yeah, it's a very but you can't. What am I trying to say? The hardcore are the ones that will bring in the casuals because if you get the hardcore excited, they're going to tell their friends and that's going to bring in everybody else. If you aim solely at the casual, that's a roll of the dice right there.
And I think that was a big Battlefront roll of the dice. And I think the thing that sustained it obviously is Star Wars.
Yes.
And if it was not that, it would have been seen as this sort of shallow first-person shooter that's cool, but doesn't have the depth that I want, therefore I won't buy it. But it having the brand makes it a big deal.
I still maintain I had a prediction on Unlocked. I'm going to stick to it. I believe that Battlefront will be the #1 selling game of December. I still, whatever you feel about its content or lack thereof, I think the quality of what is there, as you pointed out in your review, and the push of the film. I mean, that film's just gonna be it's
gonna make every
juggernaut
dollar.
is an understatement.
It's already made $50 million.
Yeah.
It's not even out yet.
Yeah, I just
Also, that was like a last week stat. I bet it's already made $10 million more dollars.
The Battle of Jakku stuff. I think Battlefront is in for a massive December, and that will, in a way, it's like, oh, that means publishers aren't going to learn anything.
This show will be up by the time MPD has come out already. But we are recording right now. Was it Wednesday at 3 p.m.? I think MPD comes in Thursday afternoons. I'm still sure Battlefront will top out MPD. I think it'll be Fallout. I think it'll be Call of Duty.
Oh, you think it's going to to beat those in November?
I think it will be #1 for November.
Oh, we did. We talked about not a chance. Yeah,
I believe
Call of Duty's on more platforms.
Yep,
and
that's
it came out at the beginning of the month. It had like 2 more weeks.
Yeah,
there is zero chance that Battlefront beats it for November. But I do think December, when they both have 31 days. I think December is Battlefront's month, but I think it's going to go Call of Duty, Fallout, and then Battlefront, largely based on the calendar.
Probably correct. Sean Finnegan.
But we all know predictions, and I are like I am wrong. Like I'm the Michael Pachter, or I will give you an enthusiastic prediction. It's probably going to be wrong.
TBD.
I will bet you an In-N-Out burger over it, whatever it is.
I'll do it every time.